Hi, I want to discuss a statement with you. The statement is, disagreement doesn't exist. Now, I don't know whether you agree with that, and if you don't, or if you're not sure, then let me explain to you how I come about thinking that disagreement doesn't exist. I've been thinking about communication quite a lot, and I've been noticing how I communicate with other people and how other people communicate with me, and what that does to me, and trying to see the underlying things of communication. And I came to the conclusion that if we were able to communicate 100% everything that is spoken and beneath it, then we would never have any disagreement at all. That is a quite bold statement, I know. So let's look at let's take a step back and look at what kind of things influence how we think about statements, for example. What influences our thinking? So imagine that just somebody says something to you, just a random fact. What influences how you think about that? Well, you have your values, like I value freedom, for example. There's always in political discussions the underlying theme is mostly something about one party wants more freedom, the other one wants more security. It's a continuum that goes from total freedom to total security. And some people value freedom more and other people value security more. Values like these influence how you think about things. Then you have your beliefs. You know, you could believe that everybody wants the best for me. Or you could believe like some people are not trying to get the best of it. They're just out there for their own interest. You could believe that everybody who has a lot of money does it because they benefit from somebody who doesn't have money, exploits, you know. You could have like broad beliefs or like more focused, detailed beliefs. Then your mood. Your mood influences a lot how you think about what you hear. So if you're very happy, you're very content, then you're more likely to agree with something. When you're more already in like a negative kind of defensive kind of mode, then you're more likely to disagree with something. Then, which I notice a lot, whether you're hungry or not. Because if you're hungry, you might also be hangry. If you're hangry, well, at least I can speak from my own experience that I don't really want to listen to anything. So there are a lot of things that influence how we think. And let me just have a look at my list. Of course, then there's also like whether you're stressed or not. When you're stressed, and it's complex information particularly, then you just don't, you know, you can't really comprehend it because you're too stressed to listen. So that's two things, like the stress is the overlying thing, and then whether you actually understand what the other person wants to say, where they're coming from. And then, oh yeah, that's a good one, your fears. So if you're fearful of something, let's say you're fearful of water, of like the sea, not of water that you drink, of the sea, then, you know, somebody can have a really, can tell you, oh, diving is great, and you disagree because you're afraid of the sea. And we're going to deconstruct it in a bit, but that makes a difference, your fears, whether you fear something or not. Also, like they say, there's no accounting for taste. Well, taste and smell also influences how you think about things. So, for example, somebody tells you, oh, this meal is just fantastic, it's so yummy. And you say, no, it's not, I disagree. So in that case, it depends on how that meal tastes and smells for you, to you. Okay, so now I've given quite some examples, quite some things that influence how you think. What I want you to be aware of is that whenever, there are two scenarios actually, whenever somebody disagrees with you, so you say something and the other person disagrees, think about all the points that I mentioned and where it might be that the other person, or which of these points it might be that the other person disagrees with you. So, for example, if you know they fear something that you talked about, then you know it's because of that, and you can tell them. So, okay, let's take an example because it's a bit abstract. Let's go back to somebody who says, I love snorkeling. Snorkeling is amazing. And you say snorkeling is amazing and the other person disagrees. So you can ask them, like, what do you not like about it? And they could say, well, I'm afraid of the sea. So then you can explain to them what the sea is for you, how the sea makes you feel. So you can say, wow, the sea, if it's a lot of waves, I don't go snorkeling at all because it just doesn't work. So maybe that already takes away some fear. And then you can explain, like, if you dive down, it's just this amazing quietness, because there are no waves. You're just down there and it's quiet, and it's kind of like a moment of mindfulness, maybe even. And if you explain how the situation really makes you feel, and if you explain, there might be other points as well, like they have values that differ from yours. But if you explain 100% why you think that snorkeling is amazing, then I'm certain the other person will agree. Now, it could also be the other way around. Somebody says something, let's say they say spicy food is the best, and you disagree. Then you can ask yourself, why do I disagree? Which ones of these points are influencing how I think about spicy food? And then you can say, oh, maybe it's my smell and taste, because I'm not used to spicy food. So when they give me spicy food, I'm just gonna sweat and feel like I have to throw up because it doesn't taste nice. And then you can ask the other person to explain to you how it makes them feel regarding to taste and smell. And if they explain that, well, I don't know, it's just this kind of like, it makes your tongue, wet, and I don't know, I don't know how to really explain it, but they're probably able to explain that. And then if you really listen, and if they were able, I'm not saying they are, if they were able to explain 100% where they're coming from, why they think that the spicy food is the best, then I'm sure that you would agree. So this whole statement is very optimistic because we are assuming that we humans are able to communicate 100% of the underlying things behind what we're actually saying, and we're not. Why? It's very simple, because we don't know 100% of what's beneath. There are things that we're just completely unaware of, and even if we try to figure it out, we won't ever understand 100%. But that's okay. because you don't need 100% to you don't need to explain 100% to make your conversation partner agree with what you're saying. You know, depending on how different you are, how different your values, your beliefs, your fears, your past experiences with something are, you know, they might agree very quickly if you're really making an effort to explain where you're coming from. So I make this whole video just for you to use it, so that the next time you have a confrontation and there's a disagreement where you disagree with something someone else says, or the other way around, the other person disagrees with something you say, to don't just disregard it and say, well, that's just a disagreement, okay, that's it, let's talk about something else, but to stay with it and be like a detective. Try to find out, why is it that you seemingly disagree? Why is it? What are the values below? What are the past experiences you or the other person has that influence how you think about something? And it all has to do with communicating more in the end. Communicating more honestly, more openly, being able and more frequently show actually what's beneath what you're thinking, what are you feeling, and that is very important in conversation, very important in talking to other people and bonding with them and making a real connection with somebody. So I hope you bear this in mind, and I hope you try to find out how you can agree with something, or how you can make somebody else agree. Not by any kind of like persuasion tactics, but just by real, honest and open communication. If you have any questions or any comments, I'm really curious to hear them, because I'm fascinated by this topic and I'm really happy to discuss anything related to it. So just comment below or write me a text and I'm happy to answer. Thank you.